The Imperial Council chamber was unlike anything humans had ever encountered. It hovered above the city of Zirindel, the gleaming capital of the Yelvara Empire, suspended on a platform of iridescent energy. Crystal spires spiraled skyward, reflecting the light of the twin suns in dazzling patterns, while below, the city throbbed with the quiet hum of anti-gravitic vehicles and luminescent gardens stretching across terraces. To the council members, this chamber was sacred. Its floating platforms were woven with energy conduits older than most civilizations in the cluster. It was a place where only the most trusted of the Yelvara, and never an outsider, could tread. Yet that morning humans stepped across its threshold. They were immediately conspicuous. Captain Elias Varen led the group, tall and broad-shouldered, his presence commanding even in the alien grandeur. His uniform was simple, marked only with the insignia of the Terran Federation, a design utterly unfamiliar to the Yelvara, yet somehow commanding respect. Behind him, Lieutenant Nira Kale moved with careful grace. Her burnished copper hair shimmered under the chamber's light, and her eyes sparkled with curiosity. She tapped occasionally at a portable interface, scanning, recording, and analyzing, as though cataloging every detail of the alien architecture. Dr. Joran Thal, thin, nervous, and slightly stooped, appeared the least imposing. He was a scientist, not a soldier. Yet the quiet intensity in his gray eyes betrayed a mind brimming with innovation and daring. He carried a small device that projected holographic schematics, an obvious tool for demonstration, though its purpose remained unseen to the Yelvara. Completing the group was Mara Linth, who radiated authority without a hint of arrogance. Her dark eyes seemed to see beyond the chamber's walls, beyond even the council's scrutiny. Her presence bent the energy in subtle ways, as if the very chamber recognized her as a force to be reckoned with. The council members froze, their 6 forms rising from the circular dais. At the center, High Chancellor Livathra shifted, her scales catching sunlight in hues of sapphire and emerald. Her voice, a melodious, resonant timbre, echoed throughout the chamber. "You cannot be here," she said. "No human has been permitted beyond the outer sanctum. How did you breach our defenses?" Elias inclined his head in a controlled bow. "High Chancellor Livathra, we did not breach. We were invited, by your own emissary Zyroun Vel. We understand this may seem unconventional, but we come in peace and purpose." Murmurs rippled across the council. Humans were known vaguely as resilient and unpredictable, but to step into the chamber uninvited? That was unprecedented. Livathra's gaze sharpened. "And what is it that you seek, Captain Varen?" "We seek collaboration," Elias said. "To explore possibilities your council may have overlooked. To ask a simple question, why not?" The words landed like a stone in a still pond. Silence followed, broken only by the Counselor Velkras the Shaper, his voice a gravelly rasp. "You come before the Imperial Council and ask, why not? Do you understand the audacity of such a question?" Nira tilted her head, a faint, wry smile on her lips. "Yes, we do. But every great discovery in your history, every advancement you celebrate, began with someone asking, why not?" Livathra's tail flicked in agitation. "You speak boldly. Perhaps dangerously. Do you know that the question you ask could unravel centuries of law and tradition?" Mara Linth stepped forward, her voice even, commanding yet calm. "High Chancellor, we are aware. We do not wish to overturn your customs or challenge your authority. We wish only to explore what is possible when caution is balanced with imagination. We do not command, we propose collaboration." Joran activated his device, projecting holographic images of human ingenuity, starships capable of near-light-speed travel, energy networks stabilizing planetary climates, and medical technology that could extend life beyond the limits your species currently achieves. The chamber's light refracted on the displays, illuminating every council member in shifting patterns of color. Whispers of uncertainty ran through the council. Humans were resourceful, yes. They adapted. They persisted. But equality? Partnership? That was unthinkable. Livathra's scales bristled. She raised her hands, causing the chamber to vibrate subtly. "I will allow one trial. One demonstration. Convince this council that your audacity has merit, or you will be expelled, barred forever from our chambers." Elias inclined his head. "We accept your challenge. Tell us what you require, and we will show you why the question, why not, deserves consideration." Time seemed to pause. The twin suns glinted off crystal spires, the city below held its breath, and the energy of the chamber hummed with expectation. Finally, Livathra's melodic voice cut through the stillness. "Prepare yourselves. The first trial will test ingenuity, not strength. You will be given a scenario. Present a solution that no Yelvara mind has conceived. Joran's lips curled into a grin. That, High Chancellor, is precisely what we hoped for. The humans and the council faced one another across the luminous expanse. The galaxy seemed to listen as four humans stood in a chamber where no human had ever been before, ready to ask the simplest, yet most radical question of all. Why not? And so, the stage was set, not just for a test of skill or intellect but for the beginning of a revolution in thinking. One that only humans could spark. The trial of ingenuity. The chamber's light shifted as High Chancellor Lyvathra raised her hands, sending ripples of energy cascading across the crystal platform. The humans felt the subtle tug of the ancient field, as if the chamber itself were alive and evaluating them. You will be presented with a challenge, Lyvathra intoned, her voice echoing in harmonics that vibrated the air. The Yelvara have maintained equilibrium in the Valen cluster for millennia. Recently, the mining operations on Vanar Prime have caused a destabilization of its core. The planet faces catastrophic collapse within a cycle of 5 rotations. Your task: devise a solution using only the resources provided here and your intellect. You may not harm the planet. You may not violate known laws of physics. A low murmur spread among the council. Even to Yelvara minds, this was a challenge of near impossible complexity. Humans had never faced such a test, yet there was an unmistakable spark in their eyes. Elias stepped forward, spreading his hands in a gesture that was equal parts confidence and invitation. Then we accept. Please show us what resources are available. Lyvathra nodded, and a section of the chamber floor shifted, revealing a repository of crystalline nodes, energy conduits and advanced interface panels. They were alien in every way, but Dr. Joran's eyes lit up. He immediately began scanning, analyzing and integrating data streams from the consoles. Nira Kale moved among the panels, her fingers dancing over the holographic controls. These nodes, she murmured, they can store and transmit energy across planetary distances. And these conduits, her eyes widened. They're quantum-linked. Real-time communication across a planetary lattice. Mara Linth, standing at the edge of the chamber, observed silently. Then she spoke, her voice carrying calm precision. The solution is not in brute force. Stabilizing a planetary core requires understanding its resonant frequencies. Energy alone cannot suffice. You must guide, synchronize, and harmonize. Elias nodded. Exactly. Humans are good at improvising solutions when frameworks seem rigid. Watch closely. Dr. Joran manipulated the nodes, projecting schematics in midair. If we use the conduits to create a harmonic lattice around the planetary core, he explained, and then modulate energy pulses to counteract the instability, it's theoretically possible to stabilize Vanar Prime long enough for natural equilibrium to re-establish itself. Velcraz the Shaper's mandibles clicked sharply. Theoretically? You dare speak in theory before the council? This is not a laboratory experiment, it is a living planet. Elias met Velcraz's gaze evenly. Theory is a starting point. Action requires courage. That is what humans bring. Joran began coordinating energy flows, while Nira adjusted the lattice's quantum alignment. Mara guided their strategy, anticipating the Yelvara's objections even before they were voiced. Within minutes, a faint hum began to resonate through the chamber. The crystalline nodes pulsed in synchrony, emitting a pattern of energy that seemed impossibly complex. Lyvathra watched, her scales reflecting the shifting colors of the lattice. Your methods are unorthodox, yet your coordination is impressive. Suddenly, a low tremor passed through the chamber floor, a feedback from the planetary resonance. The humans did not flinch. Elias raised his voice over the hum. Steady. Amplify the stabilizers by 15%. Phase alignment, now. The hum intensified, forming a harmonic melody that filled the chamber. The holographic projection of Vanar Prime shifted, showing the planet's core stabilizing, vibrations decreasing, tectonic stress dissipating. Even the most seasoned Yelvara counselors leaned forward, watching in disbelief. Velcraz's claws tapped sharply against his console. This should be impossible. No Yelvara has ever achieved such synchronization without massive energy expenditure, and even then only temporarily. Nira smiled faintly. We don't approach problems the same way. We look for patterns others ignore. We ask, why not? And then figure out a way. Lyvathra's tail lashed with agitation and awe. Remarkable. You have done what I doubted even the council could achieve. Yet, This is only the beginning. You have demonstrated ingenuity, but can you navigate the subtleties of politics, ethics, and interstellar strategy? Elias straightened. Then show us the next challenge. We are not here merely to impress, High Chancellor. We are here to expand what is possible. Mara Lintha's eyes glimmered with quiet satisfaction. They underestimated us, she murmured. And yet they will remember this day. Humans think in ways they cannot anticipate. That is our advantage. Livathra's gaze swept over the humans, her voice dropping to a near whisper. Perhaps the audacity of your species is not without merit. The Council will deliberate on further trials. But understand this, success will not be measured by skill alone, but by the depth of insight and the breadth of imagination you can bring to our galaxy. Elias bowed once more. We understand. And we will not disappoint. Humanity's question of, why not, is not reckless. It is the first step toward what others consider impossible. As the humans stepped back, the chamber seemed to vibrate with renewed energy. Not just from the harmonic resonance of the planetary stabilization, but from the recognition that a new variable had entered the balance. Unpredictability. A single thought hung in the chamber, as clear as the twin suns above Zirindel. Humans were not just participants in the galaxy's future, they were catalysts. And so, with the first trial concluded, the Council realized that these humans were unlike any species they had known. Courage, intellect, and audacity combined into a force that might one day reshape the Valen cluster itself. High Chancellor Livathra allowed herself a small, almost imperceptible smile. The trial has begun. Let us see how far your why not will carry you. The Council's dilemma. The Imperial Council chamber was silent once the harmonic resonance of Vanar Prime faded. For minutes, no Yelvara dared speak, their multi-jointed limbs frozen in a mixture of awe and disbelief. High Chancellor Livathra, usually the epitome of measured authority, exhaled slowly. Her scales shimmered in subdued hues, betraying the ripple of emotion beneath her composed exterior. Humans, you have achieved what we thought impossible, she admitted. Yet now you present a problem the Council has not faced in countless millennia. Your success forces us to question everything we have assumed about our limits. Velcra's the Shaper's claws tapped rhythmically against the dais, a low, gravelly rumble echoing through the chamber. It is unprecedented. We have faced cosmic anomalies, rogue systems, and interstellar disasters, but never a species that can solve what our combined minds cannot. Livathra's gaze swept across the Council members. And now we must decide. Do we accept these humans as collaborators, potentially opening our civilization to untested influences, or do we reject them, maintaining our traditions at the cost of future opportunity? Among the humans, Elias remained calm, though he sensed the tension radiating from the Council. Nira leaned slightly forward, her eyes gleaming with quiet curiosity. High Chancellor, we did not come to disrupt your order, she said. We came to expand what is possible. Humanity's approach is simple. We ask questions no one else dares to, and we act to find answers. That is all we offer. Dr. Joran Thal stepped closer to the holographic projection of Vanar Prime. We did not save the planet with brute force. We did it by thinking differently, by seeing patterns the Yelvara might have overlooked. Imagine what else could be achieved if we worked together. Mara Linth, always the strategist, spoke next. Her voice carried calm authority, cutting through the murmurs of doubt. Your Council prides itself on foresight and precision. Yet foresight without imagination is stagnation. Humans bring the element of unpredictability, yes, but also ingenuity. You cannot ignore that fact. The galaxy evolves and evolution favors those who adapt. Velcras hissed, his mandibles clicking sharply. Adaptation is one thing. But you propose partnership. Equal footing. That is dangerous. How do we control what we do not understand? Elias inclined his head. You do not control us. You choose to collaborate or not. The rest is up to your judgment. Livathra's tail lashed once, rhythmically, betraying her inner struggle. We have ruled this cluster for over 12 millennia. Every protocol, every law, every treaty, all carefully constructed to maintain balance. Humans threaten that balance simply by existing among us. Nira's smile was faint but unwavering. We do not seek to replace your balance. We seek to expand it. You measure stability by what has worked for thousands of cycles. We measure it by what could work if only you ask, why not? The chamber vibrated softly as the Council deliberated in silence. Some members muttered in clicks and hums, their voices carrying anxiety and excitement simultaneously. One by one they debated, weighing the audacity of humans against centuries of experience. Finally, Livathra spoke again, her voice resonant, carrying the weight of millennia. We cannot ignore what has occurred today. Your methods, your thinking, even your courage, they have forced us to confront the limits of our own perception. But the Council is not unanimous. Some fear that embracing your ideas will destabilize our authority. Others see the potential to advance our civilization beyond what we thought possible. Velcros growled softly. This is true. And yet, even with our doubts, the humans have already altered the course of events. The stabilization of Vanar Prime will be remembered for cycles to come. We cannot erase it, nor can we ignore it. Mara Lintha's voice cut through the tension, steady and commanding. Fear is the reaction of those who cannot see the opportunity. Humans embrace risk. We calculate it. That is the difference. If you choose fear over vision, your empire may endure, but it will never thrive beyond what you already know. Livathra's eyes softened as she regarded the humans. Perhaps, it is time the Yelvara reconsidered what it means to lead. Perhaps stability alone is not enough. Perhaps, audacity has its place. Elias's calm voice carried across the chamber. High Chancellor, we do not demand permission. We ask only consideration. You will judge our further actions by the results they produce, not by fear of the unknown. A low hum spread through the chamber, almost imperceptible at first, then growing, a resonance that reflected not just energy but thought. The Council itself seemed to recognize that the galaxy had shifted in that moment. Finally, Livathra nodded. Then the Council will allow a provisional collaboration. Humans, you may continue your demonstrations. You will be observed, guided, and held accountable. But your influence will be tolerated, for now. A faint, approving murmur ran through the humans. Nira's eyes sparkled with restrained excitement. Joran's lips curved into a grin, while Mara remained silent, already calculating the next move. Velcros's claws clicked sharply, not in approval but in reluctant recognition. This is unprecedented. The balance we have maintained for 12 millennia now has an unknown variable. Let it be known, humanity has entered the Imperial Council chamber, and they ask not for permission, but for opportunity. We shall see how far their audacity carries them. Livathra's voice, calm yet resonant, ended the session. Prepare for the next trial. This council will test your capacity not only to solve problems but to navigate the subtleties of strategy, ethics, and diplomacy. Only then will we understand whether your species is a danger, or a catalyst, for the future of the Valen cluster. As the humans left the central dais, the hum of the chamber lingered, the energy of possibility radiating through the crystal platform. One thought crystallized in every mind present, human and Yelvara alike. The arrival of humans had changed everything. And for the first time in 12 millennia, the Imperial Council of Zirindel was uncertain, not of itself, but of the future. Shadows in the council. The corridors of the Imperial Council chamber were quieter than usual after the humans' first demonstration. Yet the silence was deceptive. Beneath the shimmering floors and crystalline walls, the wheels of politics were turning. Not all council members welcomed the humans' audacity. Some saw them as a threat, an unpredictable variable that could unravel centuries of order. Velcros the Shaper, particularly, seethed with restrained irritation, his claws leaving faint streaks in the crystal panels as he stalked the chamber. They are not like us, Velcros hissed to the counselor beside him, Shalira the listener. Her translucent wings quivered in thought. They see patterns we cannot. Their success with Vanar Prime was accidental brilliance. What happens when their unpredictability endangers a cluster? Or worse, influences the minds of our younger generations? Shalira's eyes narrowed. We cannot deny their capacity. Yet, there is wisdom and caution. High Chancellor may allow them provisional collaboration, but we must remain vigilant. One mistake, one miscalculation, and the consequences could be catastrophic. Meanwhile, in a less conspicuous corridor, the humans walked together, unaware of the undercurrent of suspicion swirling around them. Elias Varen spoke first. I felt it, he said quietly. The hesitation in the council. The way some of them measure us, as if we are predators rather than partners. Nira Kale smirked faintly. And yet they cannot ignore us. We stabilized a planet that was about to collapse. That kind of audacity is irresistible even to the cautious. Dr. Joranthal frowned, running a hand through his hair. I don't think they fully understand what we're capable of, or what we could propose next. This provisional status, tolerated influence, it's both a door and a cage. Mara Lintha's eyes were steady, calculating. Every system has its shadows. Every empire has its hidden agendas. We've demonstrated our ingenuity, but now we face subtle resistance. The next step is not just to solve problems, but to navigate politics without making enemies we cannot afford. Back in the council chamber, the dissenters had begun to act. Velcros gathered a small faction, a coalition of counselors who shared his skepticism. Together, they devised a subtle strategy: monitor the humans, create challenges under the guise of routine trials, and test whether their ingenuity came at the cost of stability. They will not be allowed to dictate terms, Velcros said quietly. We will observe, intervene, and if necessary, curb their influence before it grows uncontrollable. The humans' first indication of this undercurrent came when the High Chancellor summoned them to a secondary chamber for what was described as a scenario simulation. This is a standard protocol, Livathra said, her voice calm yet carrying the faintest edge of scrutiny. The Council will present you with a complex scenario involving a disputed sector near the Clitheron Dominion. You must propose a strategy that balances diplomacy, resource management, and ethical decision-making. Failure will reflect on your continued participation. Elias exchanged a glance with his team. Standard protocol or deliberate test? Mara's lips curved in a subtle smile. Both. The human's advantage is adaptability. We will treat it as a game of logic and foresight. Watch the Council closely, they will try to guide us into pitfalls. The simulation began. Holographic star systems projected into the air, displaying contested planets, shifting trade routes, and volatile alliances. The humans analyzed the data instantly. Dr. Joran gestured to a cluster of unstable mining colonies near the Clitheron border. These colonies are economic pressure points. If we stabilize them using a combination of resource redistribution and minimal military presence, we prevent escalation without overt conflict. Nira added, we can also establish communication relays, neutral channels for the Dominion and Yelvara to negotiate. It buys time while reducing tension. Most importantly, it keeps our presence subtle, minimizing Council suspicion. Elias summarized their approach. Stabilize the conflict economically, strengthen diplomacy, and create leverage without aggression. Let us see if the Council can predict our moves. The Council observed in silence, analyzing every gesture, every calculation. Velcros leaned forward, mandibles clicking. Predictable, he muttered. They follow patterns we can anticipate, until they don't. Indeed, the human's brilliance lay not in adherence to protocol but in anticipating reactions while remaining unpredictable. When the Council attempted to introduce a complicating variable, a sudden rebel uprising within the simulation, the humans integrated it seamlessly, proposing solutions that respected both ethical and strategic constraints. Livathra's eyes narrowed. They are unlike any species we have encountered. Even in this controlled environment, they anticipate challenges without sacrificing morality or precision. It is extraordinary. Velcros's expression darkened. Extraordinary. Yes, dangerous. Too clever to be trusted. The simulation concluded with the human strategy scoring near-perfect effectiveness, minimizing conflict and preserving long-term stability. Yet the Council's dissenters had made their intentions clear. This was only a test. They would observe, scrutinize, and challenge at every opportunity. As the humans left the chamber, Elias said quietly, "We've passed their test, but the real challenge is not ingenuity, it's perception. Some will admire us. Others fear us. And fear is far more dangerous than failure." Mara Linth nodded. "Then we proceed carefully. Let them watch, let them doubt, let them test us, but never let them dictate the limits of what we can do. That is the human way: adapt, endure, and excel despite obstacles." In the shadows of the chamber, Velcros and his faction watched, their voices a low hum of conspiracy. "We cannot allow them to redefine the Council," Velcros whispered. "We will test them further. They may be brilliant, but brilliance unchecked is a threat." The stage was now set for a subtle war of influence. Not of weapons or fleets but of minds, strategies, and the audacity of asking, why not? And in that quiet tension, the humans walked forward, unaware of the political maelstrom that was slowly gathering around them, a storm that could either crown them as catalysts of a new galactic era or shatter the fragile trust they had so daringly earned. The Dominion's gambit. The twin suns of Zirindel were high in the sky, casting long, glittering rays across the city, when the alert came. The Imperial Council's communication nodes flashed red, a signal that set every member on edge. "Report." High Chancellor Livathra demanded, her voice calm yet commanding. A young counselor, Soren Velis, transmitted a holographic projection of the border sector near the Clitheron Dominion. High Chancellor, we are receiving reports of a sudden mobilization of Dominion forces. They have deployed assault ships near Vanar Prime's orbit and are disrupting communication relays. Preliminary scans suggest advanced stealth technology, likely experimental. Casualty projections are uncertain. Velcros the Shaper hissed sharply, his claws leaving deep grooves in the crystal panel. The humans may have saved Vanar Prime, but the Dominion sees opportunity. They will test the Council's new alliances. And perhaps, they wish to test the humans directly. Livathra's scales shimmered with tension. Then we shall see if their audacity carries beyond simulations and laboratories. Humans, you will accompany a strategic envoy. Your task: observe, advise and if possible, prevent escalation without provoking open conflict. Elias inclined his head. Understood, High Chancellor. We will do our best to minimize harm and maximize stability. But let me be clear, humans do not hesitate out of fear. We will act if necessary. Nira Kale's copper hair glinted in the holographic light. And when we act, we adapt. That is what humans do best. The humans were granted access to the Council's strategic fleet, a collection of vessels bristling with weapons and defensive systems. But instead of immediately engaging the Dominion, Elias proposed an alternative. Direct confrontation will escalate tensions, he said. Instead, we create a network of communication relays using both Terran and Yelvara technology. We intercept their signals, predict movements and offer them an unexpected, yet non-hostile, proposal. Surprise and strategy, not firepower, will save the day. Mara Linth nodded. An elegant approach. Minimal risk, maximum leverage. Let's see if the Dominion can anticipate human unpredictability. As the humans deployed the relays, Dr. Joran studied the Dominion's energy signatures. Their stealth tech is advanced, he observed, but predictable in short bursts. If we feed false readings through the relays, we can guide their fleet into positions that benefit us strategically. Nira smirked. Like chess, except the opponent doesn't realize we've already seen 3 moves ahead. The Dominion fleet advanced, unaware of the intricate trap unfolding around them. Their scouts, detecting phantom energy signals, shifted positions, exposing the larger vessels to subtle gravitational distortions generated by Yelvara technology amplified by human algorithms. Elias monitored the holographic projection, issuing calm, precise instructions. Phase the energy nodes. Maintain relay integrity. Adjust vectors by 12 degrees port side, now. In moments, the Dominion fleet found themselves subtly misaligned, their assault vectors reduced to confusion rather than effective strike patterns. Communications were intercepted, misunderstandings amplified, and what could have been a bloody engagement was transformed into a negotiation opportunity. Velcros watched in disbelief from Zirindel. Impossible. They are manipulating outcomes without deploying a single weapon. This is not combat. It is orchestration. Mara Linth observed the humans' coordinated efforts, her mind already calculating the implications. They are not just solving problems, they are redefining the rules of engagement. Strategy itself bends to human ingenuity. Then the humans initiated the final move. Elias activated a transmission, broadcasting a carefully composed message directly to the Dominion High Command. It outlined a proposal, a temporary ceasefire, mutual observation of disputed sectors, and a shared exchange of technology data. The message was audacious, confident, and unmistakably human. Within minutes, the Dominion commander responded, astonished at the audacity and clarity of the proposal. Rather than escalating, the fleet hesitated, pulled back, and agreed to a monitored armistice. Livathra, observing the operation from the council chamber, exhaled slowly. They have done it. Without firing a single shot, without threatening the balance, humans have averted a potential war. Velcros's claws tapped furiously, not in approval but in reluctant acknowledgement. They are effective. Terrifyingly effective. Unpredictable yet controlled. And now the Dominion will fear, not their weapons but their minds. Back on the strategic vessel, Nira Kale allowed herself a small, triumphant smile. The Council wanted observation. We gave them resolution. The galaxy just learned a new lesson in human diplomacy. Dr. Joran Thal exhaled, adjusting his interface. It's one thing to solve abstract problems. It's another to manipulate real-world chaos and turn it into stability. Humans, we thrive on this. Elias placed a hand on the console. And yet, this is only the beginning. The Dominion will remember today. The Council will remember today. And so will the galaxy. Audacity has a name now, humanity. Mara Lintha's eyes gleamed with quiet satisfaction. The shadows in the council may resist us. The Dominion may resent us. But humans do not wait for permission and we do not fear consequence. This is how we advance. This is how we lead. As the twin suns set over Zirindel, the humans stood aboard the vessel, surveying the calm aftermath. The galaxy had shifted, subtly yet irrevocably. One species, small, audacious, unpredictable, had proven that intellect, courage and creativity could overcome even the most entrenched traditions and the most threatening foes. And somewhere in the council chambers of Zirindel, Velkraz and his faction whispered urgently, plotting the next test, the next challenge, the next opportunity to contain the humans' audacity. But for now, one truth had become clear. The Dominion had been outmaneuvered not by technology, not by overwhelming force, but by the human mind. And the galaxy would never look at humans the same way again. The catalyst of change. The city of Zirindel gleamed under twin suns, but inside the Imperial Council chamber, tension had reached a new pitch. The humans' success with the Clitheron Dominion had ignited debates that would echo for cycles. The Council's hierarchy, once unshakable, now quivered under the weight of possibility. High Chancellor Lyvathra sat at the center of the dais, her scales reflecting shifting hues of sapphire and jade. Around her, councillors whispered in clicks and hums, their debates ranging from admiration to fear. Velkraz the Shaper, his mandibles sharp with frustration, rose first. This council has tolerated humans' ingenuity for the sake of provisional cooperation. Yet what happens when their creativity surpasses our ability to manage it? What happens when their influence spreads to younger generations, to strategic minds, to planetary governors? Their success is a seed, one that could grow into chaos if left unchecked. Shalira the listener fluttered her translucent wings, her voice soft yet insistent. Velkraz, perhaps this is precisely the growth we need. We have maintained stability for millennia, but at what cost? Stagnation. Fear of change. The humans are catalysts, yes, but perhaps we need catalysts to survive the next millennium. Lyvathra's voice rang out, commanding silence. Enough. The humans' actions cannot be undone. They have stabilized Vanar Prime, averted war with the Dominion, and demonstrated solutions no Yelvara mind could conceive alone. The question is no longer whether we can contain them, but how we choose to harness their potential. Elias, Nira, Joran, and Mara stood at the chamber's perimeter, silent observers of a debate that had just become far more consequential than planetary stabilization or interstellar diplomacy. Elias inclined his head. High Chancellor, humans do not seek control. We seek possibilities. But you must decide whether to embrace innovation or fear it. Joran added, his fingers tracing the air as holographic projections of the Dominion fleet shimmered mid-chamber. We've demonstrated what humans can achieve when permitted to act with creativity and precision. Imagine this applied across infrastructure, medicine, energy, even cultural exchange. The galaxy's potential multiplies. Velkraz snapped, potential is meaningless without order. We cannot gamble the cluster's stability for audacity. Mara Lintha's gaze met Velkraz's, unwavering. You underestimate the discipline that underlies human audacity. We do not act recklessly. We analyze, adapt, and execute. That is why the Dominion's gambit failed, not because of luck, but because humans can see patterns invisible to even the most meticulous minds in this chamber. The room fell into uneasy silence. For the first time, some counselors questioned the very foundations of their empire. The humans' audacity had forced them to confront a truth uncomfortable yet undeniable. The galaxy was no longer theirs to command alone. Lyvathra finally spoke, her voice measured but firm. Humans, your presence here has already altered the trajectory of this council and the cluster itself. We cannot ignore your impact. Therefore, I decree a formal integration of your strategies into our planning processes. You will serve not only as advisors but as catalysts for innovation. Your task, to challenge our assumptions, to propose solutions we have not conceived, and to ensure that the Valen cluster evolves beyond the limits we have imposed upon ourselves. Elias bowed slightly. High Chancellor, we accept. But understand this, humans will not be shackled by fear. We will act boldly, responsibly, and decisively. You will not merely observe our potential, you will witness it realized. Nira leaned forward, eyes glinting with determination. Audacity is not a weakness, it is evolution in action. And the Valen cluster is ready to evolve, whether it knows it or not. Velkraz's claws scraped against the floor as he processed the decree. Very well, he muttered, his voice low, almost a growl. We will integrate them. But I swear the humans will be watched, carefully. One misstep. Livathra interrupted, her gaze icy. There will be no micromanaging of humans. Their strength lies in autonomy. Containment will only diminish their potential, and ours. The humans were silent for a moment, absorbing the weight of the council's acknowledgement. The council chambers, once a place of rigid tradition and unyielding hierarchy, had begun to shift. A new paradigm was forming, one where audacity and ingenuity were no longer anomalies, but vital instruments of progress. Mara Lintha's mind worked rapidly, anticipating the challenges ahead. The shadows in the council will resist. Velcros will test us at every opportunity. But their attempts will be predictable. We will use them to demonstrate even more of what humans can achieve. Each trial, each challenge only strengthens our position. Elias nodded. This is how humans advance. Not by waiting for approval, not by submitting to fear, but by proving, through action and outcome, that possibility is not merely theoretical. And now the galaxy has seen what is possible. Livathra allowed herself a small, almost imperceptible smile. Then let this day be remembered. Not for a victory over enemies, nor for a stabilized planet, but for the recognition that audacity, intelligence, and courage, qualities humans embody, can catalyze change even in the most ancient institutions. As the humans exited the chamber, the council continued its deliberations, some members still wary, others inspired. But one truth was undeniable. The arrival of humans had begun a transformation the Valen cluster could not reverse. And somewhere, in the quiet corridors of Zirindel, Velcros and his allies plotted their next moves, knowing that the humans' influence would only grow stronger, bolder, and more impossible to contain. The galaxy had changed. And it all began with a simple question. Why not? The age of audacity. The twin suns of Zirindel rose over a city transformed, their light catching the crystal spires and casting prismatic reflections across the Imperial Council chamber. But it was not the architecture alone that had changed. The council itself, once rigid and unyielding, now buzzed with a new energy, a tension of possibility, the kind that comes from witnessing audacity realized. Humans walked among them, not as intruders or anomalies, but as catalysts of transformation. Captain Elias Varen, Lieutenant Nira Kale, Dr. Joran Thal, and Mara Linth had become more than advisors. They had become symbols of a new era. The first signs of change were subtle. Trade disputes were solved with unprecedented speed, not through force but through negotiation strategies humans devised that even seasoned Yelvara diplomats had never imagined. Planetary infrastructure projects flourished as human algorithms optimized energy distribution, climate stabilization, and resource allocation with precision that was almost magical to the aliens. Yet not all welcomed this transformation. Velcros the Shaper and his faction watched from shadowed chambers, their mandibles clicking with suspicion. Their influence grows too fast, Velcros hissed. The council bends, our systems adapt, and the galaxy itself is shifting under the weight of their ideas. One misstep, one miscalculation, and we will see chaos. But the humans had anticipated this resistance. Mara Linth had already mapped the council's internal politics with surgical precision, identifying allies and potential obstacles. Nira Kale cultivated subtle alliances with younger counselors, appealing not to tradition but to curiosity and ambition. Joran's technical innovations proved indispensable, while Elias's calm authority ensured the humans' bold initiatives were executed without friction. The defining moment came during the first interstellar summit where humans directly mediated between the Valen cluster and the Clitheron Dominion. Hundreds of vessels and thousands of representatives crowded the orbit of Vanar Prime. The council expected tension, negotiations, even skirmishes. Humans expected something else entirely, opportunity. Elias stepped forward, addressing the assembly not with threats or demands, but with clarity. We do not seek dominance, nor do we seek vengeance. We seek solutions that benefit all parties. If we can stabilize conflict without war, if we can ensure prosperity without exploitation, why would we not try? The assembly murmured, alien voices clashing in a cacophony of uncertainty. Yet Nira and Joran worked in tandem, deploying communication arrays, predictive algorithms and energy field stabilizers, subtly realigning trade routes, patrol schedules and logistical corridors. The result was near instantaneous. What could have been a prolonged standoff dissolved into cooperation, as Dominion commanders and Valar governors alike realized humans had solved problems that neither side thought solvable. Mara Lintha's eyes scanned the chamber, noting every subtle reaction, every flicker of doubt or admiration. "This is how humans lead," she murmured. "Not by force, not by threat, but by foresight, courage, and creativity. And once you see what is possible, you cannot unsee it." By the end of the summit, the Valen cluster had forged alliances stronger than any treaty before. The humans' audacity had redefined diplomacy, demonstrating that intellect and courage could rival fleets and weapons. Even Velcruz begrudgingly acknowledged the humans' impact. "They are formidable," he muttered. "Perhaps too formidable." The council, once skeptical and rigid, now began to actively integrate human thinking into its policies. Energy distribution grids were redesigned, planetary defenses optimized, and interstellar commerce flourished under algorithms humans introduced. Entire generations of Yelvara began questioning old doctrines, exploring ideas once considered radical. Livathra, observing all of this, allowed herself the faintest smile. "Perhaps," she whispered, "we have underestimated the power of asking a simple question. Perhaps audacity, tempered with reason, is the true path to evolution." Elias and his team walked the chamber, noting the subtle shifts in tone and energy in the very atmosphere of governance. Nira whispered, "The galaxy will never be the same. Not because we imposed it, but because they saw the possibilities and embraced them." Joran added, "Every system, every planet, every decision now carries potential we could not have imagined." And it all began with one question. Mara Lintha's gaze met the twin suns, now setting in a blaze of gold and crimson. "Why not?" she said softly. 4 simple words. Yet they altered the course of a civilization. The Valen cluster, and perhaps the galaxy itself, has entered an age defined not by caution or fear, but by the courage to imagine, and the audacity to act. And so, the humans became more than a species in a distant cluster. They became the spark of transformation, the embodiment of possibility, and the living proof that intellect, courage, and audacity could reshape even the oldest empires. The council chamber, once a symbol of rigidity, now resonated with energy, debate, and innovation. A new era had begun, the age of audacity, where asking "why not" was not just a question, it was a guiding principle for the future of the galaxy. And somewhere beyond the stars, other civilizations would hear of the humans who walked into the Imperial Council chamber, unafraid, bold, and unstoppable, asking only, "Why not?"